Okie dokie, welcome everybody to the third installment of ContentBox Cubed, our release roadshow all month of July for ContentBox 3. We are glad you are here. This is our month-long extravaganza. We've been doing blog posts all month. Check that out on the Ortus blog. Also 5 free webinars, of which this is the third. Led by Ortus team in the community, and they're all about the wonders of ContentBox 3. And of course, we are recording all of our sessions, and we'll have the recordings posted as well when we're done. So we like to do roadshows for our products because we like lots of free training. We'd like to give information out there to developers who want to use our products, and we want to advertise all the new features that are in ContentBox 3 currently at release candidates. So we're winding down to release it. We want to get the word out about what it's doing so you guys can jump in and help. And of course, we want community contributions. We want you guys to make themes and modules and widgets and all kinds of cool stuff for it. As usual, all of our boxes are professional open source. Well, not all of them are open source, but they all are professionally supported. So if you guys need training, support, mentoring, architecture, server tuning, any kind of help with your local development, give us a call, and we will bring badly photoshopped pictures of ourselves and possibly a mariachi band. So, this is today, the 15th of July. Mr. Luis is talking about widgets, themes, and modules and events. July 22nd, we have Scott Steinbeck. And then on the 29th, we have Mr. Gavino back for a deep dive into modules because, yo dog, we like modules, as Adrian Moreno said the other day. So, with that, we'll go on to the show, and I will hand you over to Mr. Mahano.
Okie. Can you guys see my screen correctly?
I see your presentation.
All right, cool. Uh-oh. Wrong. Keynote, why aren't you working, Keynote? All right, there we go. Can you see my screen, Brad?
Yes, looks great.
All right, perfect. Well, thank you, everybody. Today, we'll be doing a session on widgets, themes, modules, events, oh my. I am going to go through pretty much all the extension points in ContentBox CMS and give you a very developer-oriented approach to every piece of extension that is available. Hopefully we'll have enough time to see everything. There's obviously a lot to see here. We'll be seeing a lot of code, a lot of architectures, slides, and a lot of how ContentBox was put together in order for you as a developer to kind of extend upon it. The major concepts of ContentBox was to provide extensibility for developers. Working with for so many years with so many CMSs, usually it was not a very good experience when you had to actually extend, even for the smallest of things or to the biggest of things. So with ContentBox, we really wanted the approach to be very flexible. So we'll see all the different approaches to extend ContentBox. And obviously, all of them are based in CoBox. We really wanted to have a very solid MVC platform to power the CMS, so nothing was new. If you already knew MVC. any MVC framework, especially ContentBox. So to start, who am I? For the record, my name is Luis Majano. I'm by trade a computer engineer. I was imported from El Salvador a long time ago here to the US. COO of Orta Solutions, Adobe Community Professional, and a little track history of what I've done in the past. And of course, a beautiful picture of El Salvador. Right? Little agenda. First of all, we need to check out the tools and the IDE integrations that we have available for ContentBox. We have been working on them for a long time. They're pretty solid. And then kind of go through widgets, modules, and themes. All right, to start off, there are two tools that are available to you to work with ContentBox very easily. If you are a CoFusion Builder kind of guy, or girl, we have a ContentBox Utilities plugin that you can see on the screenshot, where you can actually right-click and you can install, create themes, modules, widgets, etc. Very robust, allows you to create pretty much anything within the ContentBox ecosystem right from your IDE. Then on the right-hand side, our favorite CLI tool is CommandBox. So CommandBox, as the CLI, can power and create many things, from installing ContentBox to, in the future, updating ContentBox, and also installing many of the features that we'll be seeing today. Our preference, obviously, is CommandBox due to its scriptable approach and also very handy in the CLI for developers. Now, what can we extend in ContentBox? Widgets. We will cover what ContentBox widgets are and where they can be used. Themes. We have done a tremendous amount of work for themes in ContentBox 3. Modules, of course. ContentBox is built as a modular CMS engine, which in turn is extensible via ContentBox MVC. So this is our extensions ecosystem of the things that you can actually do within a ContentBox installation as a developer. Now, as a developer, we need to know what are we working with. And here are the most important services that we would say are available to you as a developer. So remember, ContentBox is a collection of modules, and it exposes a tremendous amount of model objects to your entire ContentBox ecosystem. So within ContentBox, you have access to all of these services that you see on the screen, plus a whole lot more. Now, all of them, of course, are fully documented. You can check out apidocs.ortasolutions.com/ContentBox, and that will give you the latest release of the API docs of all these services. Now, please note that all these services are available to you via dependency injection. Remember, ContentBox is built as an MVC framework. It has dependency injection already built in. So if you want to use any of these services throughout any of your applications, you just inject them. That's it. That's the namespace that's available to you, and you can use them very easily. So remember, what we tried is to build ContentBox as a very rich API-driven CMS framework to give you the ability to extend. Now, we also created what we call the CBHelper, or the ContentBox helper. It's a one-stop shop for anything ContentBox, and it can be used within the ContentBox ecosystem or throughout your ContentBox MVC application. So you can see here from our diagram that the CBHelper is available to modules, widgets, and themes, but it's also available to the running ContentBox MVC application. Check out the API docs. There's a lot of great functionality here. You actually will build your widgets based on the CBHelper and your themes. So your themes will constantly use the CBHelper to get links, to get settings, layout settings, theme settings, even mobile detection. So the CBHelper is your go-to CFC to provide all this integration. Okay? And obviously it has a lot of aggregations to many other services that you can use as well. So let's start our journey with widgets. The ContentBox ships with a lot of widgets already out of the box. The idea behind widgets was a very simplistic way to extend ContentBox. Okay? It actually is a CFC, and it allows you to connect to anything inside of your ContentBox ecosystem or outside of your ContentBox ecosystem. You can see that they are connected to ForgeBox, so they can be connected to ForgeBox as well, and download and contribute. And you can create them very, very easily. You can also categorize them. So we did an open category system with ContentBox. So when you create your widgets, you can create and name your own categories. So you can extend the left panels and create your own categorization for your own installation or company or organization. And there are many ways to install widgets. We'll cover all of them, and many ways to use them as well. So what are widgets? Widgets are CFCs. They extend our base widget, which is ContentBox.Modules.UI.baseWidget. They must have a main rendering function that we lovingly call renderIt. And all it does is returns a string or HTML, whatever you desire. All public functions will be exposed to editors. That means that any public function that you create in a widget has the potential to be executed from an editor or from your test environment that I will show you. They are self-documented. We are huge believers here in Ortus about documentation. And it makes it really easy for developers to just document these functions, and they will be able to give instructions to users when using these widgets. So we definitely encourage you to create a lot of very expressive documentation, even for the arguments, because they will be able to be self-documented and present screens to the users in order for them to use your widget. Now, the widgets can be used in many areas in ContentBox. Themes by direct execution. In other widgets, remember, everything is managed by ContentBox, so you have the power of the dependency injection framework. So a widget can consume another widget. Okay? Modules, okay? And from the editors. Their location is right there in their modules, ContentBox widgets. That's where you would store them. Now, I put together here a UML diagram for the ecosystem of a widget. Very important that you know what you have available when you're creating a widget. So you can see on the bottom that there is actually this. Can you see my pointer out of curiosity? Brad? Perfect. All right, so when you create your widget, it will extend from our base widget. And our base widget has several properties that you can create to give some metadata about your widget, such as the name of the widget, the version, the description, the author URL, the category, even an icon, which is based on Font Awesome, and an optional ForgeBox slug. In the future, we are already preparing for all these widgets to be self-updating via ForgeBox. So you can create a ForgeBox slug already and the version, and we will be able to track which version is installed in ContentBox and make calls to ForgeBox in order to auto-update some of these widgets. Now, we have several aggregations from the base widget to the ContentBox ecosystem to kind of give you access to all kinds of content services. You have the comment service, the content store service, menu service, the CBHelper, the security service, category service, entry service, page service, content version service, and the authoring service. So all these services are already wired inside of the base widget in the variable scope for you. You don't have to do anything, they are already there. You also have an HTML helper and a direct connection to the ContentBox main controller. So you also have access to the ContentBox application if you need to, and the HTML helper to create very fancy and elaborating HTML. So you pretty much have everything in your recipe to create widgets. Now remember, your widget is a CFC. It is managed by the dependency injection framework, so you can have many other aggregations. You can basically make your widget inject from other objects inside of your application. So if a project manager gives you a requirement that says, hey, I need you to create a widget that talks to a model that we already have in the application, no problem. You basically just inject it, use it, and that's it. Now, how do we use widgets? Well, let's start off with the editors. Inside of the editors, all of them accept what we call our triple mustache notation. The triple mustache notation will actually allow you to execute a widget by convention. So you can see here on the screen that you do the triple widget, triple mustache, and then widget name, and then arguments, which are optional, of course, depending on how you created that widget. But that will execute the rendering function inside of that widget for you and will replace this triple mustache at runtime. Okay. You can also execute any method by giving it a .method name. So you can say widget name .method and then the arguments as name value pairs. Okay. That will allow you to execute any widget a la carte for you inside of an editor. Now, our editors have also been extended. So both our editors in ContentBox 3 have the ability for you to actually click on these little icons and actually have access to what we call our Widget Inserter. So this is more of a UI ability for maybe for non-developers to actually insert widgets. Okay? This is where documentation takes hold. So here you can see the RSS widget. And the RSS widget has a few arguments to it. Okay? It doesn't have any other public functions available to it. If not, you would see before the widget argument, you would see something called widget methods. But right now, this is just a rendering function. And you can see here that there are many arguments to this function. And these arguments can actually be extensible. They can come from a database. They can be dynamic. You have the choice to how you want to build the form for the users. Okay, so you're basically building a form using your metadata from your widget. Once you got that set, then you will see a preview of the content for that widget, and then you can insert it, and it will insert that triple mustache notation into your editor. You also have the widget documentation. So every widget inside of ContentBox is self-documentable. So you can actually click on the docs, and you will actually get a screen much like this. You will see here is the archives widget. You can see the version, the slug, and the description. You can see how many public methods are available. And then you can see the method, and you can see its hint and all the arguments that are available that will create the form. Okay. So very important that when you want to create widgets that are going to be based off of the editor, that basically you take time for users to have a very easy time in order to insert all their information in order to create the widget. All right, installation of widgets. Installation of widgets is very simple.
He's talking about the widgets you were showing.
We can just say box install and then the ID
when you
of the
showed
widget
how to render a
box, and that's it. It will install it for you in the right location. Nothing else to do. Or you can download manually and do the same process going through that ContentBox/widgets. So now let's look at some code. Let's dig into widgets and give you a better idea of how they work. So let me see if you guys have any questions here. First of all, can you pass in arguments by position? What do you mean pass in arguments by position? I guess I don't understand. Oh, positional arguments. Actually, I don't think so. I do not think so. I think they're all based on name value pairs. Yeah, they're all name value pairs, unfortunately. Right. All right, so let me show you a few things. So here under modules, there is ContentBox. There is here widgets. And here is all the collection of widgets that ship with ContentBox. So let's take a look at a simple widget, which is called Meta. Okay, so here is the Meta CFC. You can see here, let me increase the font a little bit, just in case. It is a basic component that extends our base widget. It is a singleton, so you can mark the persistence of a widget. If not, a widget will be recreated and recreated every time. So you have that full control as well. You have a constructor where you actually set, for example, here all the metadata information about my widget, so it's presentable in a nice way on the screen. And then I have my render it function. So here's my render it function. You can see here that I have a few arguments. I've documented the arguments, and I've just created basically if you are logged in, I talk to the security service and I say, give me the author session right now. They're logged in. And if they are logged in, then I create a link called site admin and logout. If not, I just create a link called login. Okay? And then I create a few other links. I save a content, so I basically create an HTML piece of content, and then I return it. You can see that I also have a private function here, two private functions to help me create these lists. So this is a simple little widget that just creates an array of links. Okay? If we want to check this out inside of ContentBox, let me go in here. All right, so let me go into the administrator. Here's my administrator, and I'm going to go to widgets. And I'm going to look for the meta widget. Okay, so here's the meta widget. Okay, this is the metadata that we were talking about. So if I wanted to change something right here, I could change it. Okay, so if I want to change this to, let's say, version 1.0.0, make it complete semantic. Okay, and the icon is info. So you can see here, there's the info. Now these are all based on Font Awesome that is included in ContentBox. So if you wanted to change the icon, you very easily can. So let me change the icon. Let's look for something here. Let's look for, the bomb. So this widget is going to be the bomb. Right? Then I can go back in here, and I'm just going to reload my application and refresh. And I can have my widget. Oh, better. Oh, not refreshing. Am I in the right one? Oh, I'm not in the right one. Oops. I am in the wrong ContentBox installation. Meta. All right. Let's go back. Redo. Okay. Oh, there it is. That's the bomb. There's my meta. All right. Now, it also gives you the ability to read the widget documentation. So here's the documenter. So it tells me how the users will actually see my documentation. It tells me how many methods I have available. See, there's the render it method. I can actually go in here and actually create another method. So I'm going to create another method. And I'm going to call it function say hello. Oh, forgot to read it. So let me just do the quick approach. Since this is a singleton object, like that. And let's look at our documentation. And now we have a say hello right here that is documented for me. Okay? And it tells me that there are no arguments defined for this method. Okay? Now, we also have the tester. So when you're developing these widgets, you can remove the singleton annotation to start and just basically be creating the method. So you can see here is the rendered method. Here are the widget arguments. You can see here is the preview. Okay? So it tells me here's site admin, there's the logo because I am logged in already. There's the entries and the S and everything in there. I can change the title to my site admin, right? And then press escape, sorry. My site links. And you can see it auto updates here with the right information, the level of H that I want, if I wanted an H3, right? And basically you're testing if your widget works correctly. I can change to the say hello, and there is Hola Luis. Okay. So very, very easily you can start working with your widget and making sure that it works in CFC code. Right? If I wanted to do something more fancy, obviously you can do it right here in the code. You can solve very easily. I just created that, and I started working with my widget. Okay. If you wanted to create more funkiness, say render table, or render users, let's say right here, and we can create an array of users, for example. So let's say here we create a very simple array of users. And then I can render it out. So I can just say html.table. I'm going to render a table back. I'm going to, the data is A. Actually, it's not in this users. And let's even give them some class. Let's say table. Okay. Two classes, and that returns my table. I can say here, render a nice user table from our system. Okay. And that's it. That's my rendered users. I have another function that I've created to render, simulate our user. Imagine taking this from a service. And then very easily you can integrate your widget and test it out. Meta again. Let's test our widget. And let's go for the render users. And there it is. There's my table. Right? So that will be rendered to my user. And you can see that every time I refresh, obviously that create new ID is already created again. So you can see that it's lively creating my table right here. Very easy. So now that I've created my widget and updated my widget, I can use it anywhere I want. There are many ways to do it. We're going to check the editor. If you wanted to use this inside of a theme, then you would just call the CBHelper. The CBHelper has a function called widget, which you give it in a name and then argument value pairs or positional pairs there actually, and you will actually execute your widget from a theme. Okay? You can also have them come from a module, as we'll see, and from layouts with different names as well. Okay? These are also managed by Wirebox, so you can actually inject them anywhere you like as well, okay? Using their unique ID. So, if you want to check out their unique ID, you can actually go to the Geek settings and look in Wirebox and look for Meta, and you will see here that there is the unique ID for the dependency injection framework. Okay? So you can actually inject it by saying ContentBox.widgets.meta, and you get a reference to the widget that you can use anywhere in your ContentBox MVC application as well. So you have full circle here of sensibility. All right, so let me go back here and let's look at our sitemap. And obviously this is my sandbox and I'm messing things around here. But let me go here. And let me create an entry. So let's see here, hello from Widgetland. That's the name of my page here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do it in two ways. One, the triple mustache notation, which is called meta. And no arguments, and I can get a quick preview, and you can see here is my meta. Okay? I can actually go back in here and execute the say hello. I just type in say hello. And there it is, hello from Widgetland, Hola Luis. So very, very easily you can see what's going on. Okay? Now let me do this now through the widget inserter. Okay? So we have here the widget inserter. Okay? And here we go. Now I can look for meta. There is my meta. I can choose my widget and it tells me, okay, which function do you want? Let's use the users. Okay, there it is, nice little preview. Insert the widget, and there it is. Okay, renders the users, and I can even put a widget icon right here for it. And now I can actually go check it out. And there are my users right there. Boom. So now I've created a widget that integrates into my editors. People can use it, and I can start working with my application. See if you guys have any questions before I move on. All right, no questions so far? If not, I will move on to another section, but just want to make sure that widgets are clear. Any other examples you guys want to see with widgets? All right, I guess no. I shall continue then. Okay, so I will move on to modules now. So hopefully that gives you a clear idea of how to start working with widgets very, very easily with ContentBox. All right, moving on, modules. I would say modules is the crux of ContentBox functionality due that ContentBox is a module or a collection of modules as well. So everything is modular, and this gives you a tremendous amount of flexibility and portability when creating and extending the CMS. Now, here is the main screen for module management inside of ContentBox. It lists the available modules that are available in your ecosystem. Now, remember, these are the ContentBox modules, and you see the different locations of where modules can exist in ContentBox. But these are the modules that are managed by ContentBox. Okay? There are many types of modules as we will see. Now, you can also connect to ForgeBox and install modules as you see fit. And you can activate and deactivate modules a la carte. All right, so modules in ContentBox are an extension of ContentBox modules. They have a little bit more pizzazz. They are managed by the ContentBox administrator, and they can be activated and deactivated a la carte, and they can also be installed and uninstalled a la carte. They can either extend the ContentBox administrator, they can extend the ContentBox UI, or they can just extend the ContentBox application. So they can be completely independent. Now, by default, these modules are installed in modules, ContentBox, modules, user. Okay? So let's look at module location installations first before I move on. So there are many module locations. So let's look at them. In my application right here with ContentBox, remember it is a ContentBox application. So we have a modules directory. This modules directory right here is by convention going to be loaded no matter what. So any modules that you put inside of here will be loaded automatically for you. There is no installation on installation ecosystem, they just run. Here is where you can create modules that extend your ContentBox application. In this case, you can see the 3 modules, or the 3 main modules that are composing ContentBox. Inside of ContentBox module itself, the core, there are 2 module locations as well. One, the convention called modules as well. Remember, there is the ability for you to have modules within modules. So here is where we have module inception. And any modules that you place inside of this directory will be loaded for you automatically. Again, no installation, no on installation, but it just allows you to basically package modules inside of ContentBox. Now, there's also modules user. The modules _user directory is where you will be placing modules that are going to be managed by the administrator. So these are a great way for you to actually have an administrator control the life cycle of these modules. And remember, these modules can be fancy enough that they can have modules on their own. Again, module inception. Okay? So that would be a dream within a dream within a dream, or more. So these are the main locations in ContentBox. Now, what can you do with modules? A lot. You can create ContentBox menu administrations, menu contributions, so you can actually extend the administrator with your own menus. You can listen and announce events, so you can listen to many events within the administrator or the UI or the MVC application. You can create custom views. You can add more services or more models to the ecosystem. You can have your own URL mappings. So you can actually create a shop or an e-commerce module very easily and have its own URLs. It can come with its own widgets. Okay? It can have its own environment detection that it inherits from its parents. And you can use it to execute to-do lists, or what we call self-sustainable events. So you have a whole gamut of availability of things that you can do with modules. So as a developer, you're not really restricted. Now remember, these modules are based in ContentBox. So you can actually have a module or a collection of modules already built that work with ContentBox, and they will work with ContentBox, and vice versa. So you can actually create dual functioning modules, modules that can work within a ContentBox installation or without a ContentBox installation. So let's look at the anatomy of a module. Module is composed by a unique name, which is on disk. Okay? It's a unique name on disk. And it can be composed of several files and directories. The only file that is required is the ModuleConfig.cfc. So basically, one CFC can be a module. That's how portable and how small you can actually create a module. Now, we recommend creating a box.json descriptor for your module in case you have dependencies. Remember, ContentBox will actually allow you to manage all the dependencies in your module as well. So you can use that box.json as a descriptor, then you can then publish to ForgeBox and be able to actually consume other modules. So we recommend at least having a box.json and a ModuleConfig.cfc. The ModuleConfig.cfc is actually a listener as well. It is an interceptor. So if you all you wanted to do was listen to specific events, you can just create one CFC that listens to multiple events in the ecosystem. It can also have handlers. It can have its own layouts, its own models, its own module inception, its own views, and of course, its own widgets. Now remember, the widgets is an enhancement to ContentBox, not available in traditional ContentBox applications. But since we're in a ContentBox ecosystem, they get enhanced. Okay? So they can also come with widgets. So a module can be a collection of widgets as well. Box.json, I think we've seen several presentations on the box.json for ContentBox. Just a little snippet of how it looks like. You can see there that it has a name, a version, a slug, the type, the dependencies that it can have, right? Who's contributing, license, etc. So we encourage you to have a box.json. It will make installation a lot easier, especially as things get more modular, most likely your module will depend on other modules. Now, the ModuleConfig.cfc, which is the most important descriptor for your module, it's a simple CFC. It bootstraps your module. Okay? It must exist in the root of that folder. It has some public properties, and it has a configure method with all the different configuration items for a module. And it has 4 callback methods, at least 4. Okay? And now, in a traditional ContentBox module, you only have 2, which is unload and ununload. Okay? With ContentBox, you have 2 more. You have onActivate and onDeactivate. Okay? So onActivate is basically when your module is installed for the very first time. So that is usually where you can put installation procedures. And then onDeactivate is usually I can't even say that word. On installation. There you go. On installation procedures. So it gives you a very nice way for you to actually know when a module gets installed, deactivate it, and then when it loads every time the framework is started and when it's unloaded. It has the tier detection already enabled from parent application. You don't have to do anything. So you can just create another function or another listener depending on the tier you're on. And it's an interceptor. So you can create other functions that listen to the process, post-process, pre-event, etc. Everything that is available in a ContentBox interceptor is available to you. How does it look like? All right, here's the code. Here is a component. Here are some module properties for it. You can see there has a configure method. It has an onload method, on activate, on unload, and on deactivate. Okay. So these are key things that are available only to ContentBox. Okay, on activate and on deactivate. So let's look at more code and let's start looking at a very simple one and then a complex module. So inside of modules user, I already have a hello module that ships with ContentBox. Okay. I'm going to open the module config. Very easily, just a small component, and it has a configure with all the different things that are available to you in ContentBox. Even my route, so you can have its own SES URL routes and its own interceptors, etc. And then you can see here that on load, so anytime the module is activated in the running application, I will get access to the admin menu service, and I will add a submenu called Hello ContentBox with a link to my module. Okay? So now here is the little trick. Modules within the administrator. So if you create modules that are going to work inside of the administrator, you have all the tools available for you to create links and execute these modules inside of the administrator. We do this using the CBHelper or the menu service. The menu service has the ability to help you build links that will execute inside of the module. Okay? They're all in the API docs, and it tells me with the build module link, here is the module, and here's the event that I want to execute inside of my module. So you can see here, there's the handler called home, and it will execute home.index. On unload, it basically talks to the same admin menu service, and it removes the hello ContentBox method. So let's look at that right here. I'm going to go to modules, manage. And here are my modules on disk. This is the module administrator in ContentBox. You can quickly search for modules that you have installed. You can connect to ForgeBox to install new modules if you have the right permissions. Okay. You can reset. That means that it will deactivate all modules and rescan the folder. Or here it can actually scan the folder for new modules. So in case you have installed a new module, you can rescan very easily. And you can also upload a module package very easily as well and install a module. Here is Hello ContentBox, so I'm going to activate it. So there it is now activated, and you will see there's a new menu contribution here called hello ContentBox. And you can see the URL right here. It's called module hello ContentBox/home, which was built using this menu service and that module link. That creates the link into the module. And it executes, and now I have a fully running module inside of my administrator. Okay? That basically just gives me a hello module, it gives me some information, and that's it. So let's check out the code for that. Here is the handler of home. It actually looks exactly like a ContentBox handler because it is a ContentBox handler. Nothing new. Okay? It has a traditional set view, which will come from the module itself. Okay? This can have its own dependency injection. Okay? So if we wanted to enhance this, and let's print out, let's say, the list of categories in my system, I can inject a category service, inject category service at ContentBox, okay? And I'm going to be able to get a list of categories. So let's put them in the PRC just like traditional ContentBox. And let's say, hey, categories. Let's click on my category service, and let's just list the categories. Okay. That's it. And then there's my view. So if I go to home index, there's my view. It's a traditional view. It's based on Bootstrap that ships with ContentBox. We have a style guide available to you as well. And all it does is what you see on the screen. A hello module right here with code name, and that's it. So I'm going to put a list of categories at the bottom right here after our welcome here. So I'm going to, I don't know what they are, so I'm just going to use the HTML helper to create a little table. PRC.8 categories. And that's it. Now, in order for my changes to take effect, actually, because I did an injection, I'm just going to rename it just through the URL, very easily in development mode. And there we go. So now I've actually presented right here a nice table with the categories inside of ContentBox. Create date, modified date is deleted, and everything here that you can see. Very, very easy. So creating handlers and integrating them are very easy because it's the same process that you would do if you're building just a traditional ContentBox modular application. It is exactly the same, except enhanced. Okay? So you can see here, there's my table. Let's see here, just doing includes. Let's just show the category and the slug, and that's it. So I can refresh here, and there it is. There's my category and my slug for my categories that I've created. All right, cool. So let me go back and do another review. Here is my traditional ContentBox module. Views, there's my view that I was working with. There is my handler. I can see that I added a funky property injection and actually got some query from my category service, and I presented the view. Okay, and there is my module configuration, which right here created my menu. It created the link inside of my menu, and then I actually unloaded right here the menu. So when I actually go back to the menu and I deactivate the module, the menu contribution disappears. Right? So very easily you can actually create modules that extend the administrator. Okay? You can also create modules that are managed here that have nothing to do with ContentBox, and they just are pure ContentBox modules. Okay? Like an e-commerce shop or forum or whatever, but it gives you the flexibility to manage it through here. Now let's look a bit deeper into a more funky module. So there are these two modules available in ForgeBox. One is called CK Code Mirror, and another one called Code Editor Manager. Okay? I'm going to take a look at the CK Code Mirror. This is a very simple module, and what it allows you to do, it adds Code Mirror support to our CK editor. So if we actually go here into content, so let me go and open a piece of content here. So let me go here and let me change to CK editor. Remember, ContentBox has the ability for many editors. Okay? And I want to be able to add CK editor support right here in my source. So we've created this little module called CK Code Mirror, okay, as a box.json, so you can see it was published in ForgeBox. So you can very easily just type box install CK Code Mirror and you will have it. It has the module config. Right? And it just gives you the version number, the slug, and here's a little bit more funkiness. It has the settings, so here are some default settings that we ship with, and it has a few routes, okay? And it has a few binder mappings that you can see here that I will use internally. It has a few listeners. Remember that the module is also an interceptor, so I'm actually listening to 2 new events that occur inside of the CB administrator, which is the CK Editor Extra Plugins event and the CK Editor Extra Config event. So the CK Editor is actually a module, believe it or not, and it announces several events during its life cycle in order for you to intercept and extend. So you can see here that I receive an extra plugins array, and I add myself into that extra plugins as code mirror. And then inside of my CK Editor Extra Config, I actually talk to the settings service because I have all my settings stored inside of ContentBox. And then I retrieve them and I add them right there to the code mirror so they can actually configure it. All right, dig deeper. Here is the unload. So this is every time this module loads, what are we going to do? Well, I'm going to talk to the admin menu service, and I'm going to add a new menu to the modules called CK Code Mirror, and it's going to build a link to that Code Mirror module to the home.settings event. Handlers, home, and then settings event. Okay, cool. Then I'm going to look for my CK Code Mirror and make sure that the settings are available. Okay, so what it'll do is that actually it will grab them and make sure that there are settings inside of ContentBox, and if not, it will create them for you. Here it gets more funky. On activation, this means that when I activate this module for the very first time, what are we going to do? Okay? First of all, I grab an instance of the settings service and make sure that my settings are stored correctly. And then I actually talk to the ContentBox administrator and say, here is the path where the CK editor exists inside of ContentBox. And then I'm going to copy over my assets, which are in my includes folder, into the ContentBox CK editor. So this actually installs the JavaScript necessary right here, or basically all of Code Mirror, into my CK editor module. And then on deactivate, I basically remove myself. Okay, so that's my cleanup. So very, very easily, I am now extending a CK editor plugin as well with ContentBox. All right, so let's look at how this works. I'm going to go back in here, and I'm going to activate the CK Code Mirror. And that's it. It is activated. You can see here that here is the menu contribution for CK Code Mirror. It builds a nice screen with the options that I have available. There will be many options available in the future, but right now I can just choose the theme that I want, okay, and save my settings. You can see here inside of the home, there is settings, which is a traditional ContentBox module. You can see here I talk to the settings service, and I even injected the CBHelper. And I also have a save settings as well. And there is my view. Here's my settings view that you're seeing. Traditional ContentBox module. The only differences are a few things. One, the actions. Every action you can use the CBHelper to build a module link, or you can directly scope it by prefixing it with cbadmin.module. That would prefix it and say, this module is executing within the administrator. That gives you security. That gives you making sure that the user is logged in order for you to access that page, so nobody can access this from outside of ContentBox Administrator. And there it is, code mirror, which is the name of my module, home.savesettings, which is home save settings. And then I save all my settings, and then I relocate. And then I can relocate using the prefix or the shortcut method used called setNext module effects. Right? Once I do that, then I can save my settings correctly, and it blows up, of course. Oh, this is using my old version of ContentBox. So let's fix it very smooth. So I'm going to help to update the installation. This is my sandbox. There we go. Settings, save, and updated. All right, so let's look at how this module works inside of my editor. So I'm going to refresh my editor. Okay? And now when I click source, oh, did I publish it? Woohoo. Oh, that's right. There was still a bug in this ContentBox installation, so let me just show you in my other one. This one is I remember now. Go back to my other sandbox. So here is my other sandbox. You see this rescan right here. All right, I have it installed on this one as well. So let me activate it here. Ah! There we go, that's right. Let's start again. Let's install it through my box. Am I in the right place? I believe so. Alright, let's scan. There it is, installed right now. CB code mirror. There we go. Here it is. You can see the settings. And then we go into a page. And I have no content, so I'm going to change it to CB editor. Save it. And I'm just going to create a bunch of lorem and source. And there we go. CK code mirror. Woohoo! So it now allows me to have a nice editor right here with copy paste, even script control and everything right from within CK editor. So I can do all kinds of things that I would like to do inside of CK. Right? Okay. And let me go now on deactivated. Oh, there's deactivated, and then I can actually delete the module, and that's it. Module removed forever. Okay. So back here, any other questions so far? About this module? Wow, time has flown. Is there an example module which uses a starting point with admin CRUD, menus, etc., and front-end views? Well, we have these modules right here, and there's several modules that are available to you, Daniel, and there's some that we're updating to ContentBox 3. I will show them where they are. So they are under ContentBox Modules, right here under GitHub. So I'll show you what they do. So ContentBox Google Prettify allows you to do syntax highlighting of code via Google's Prettify.js. Okay, that is available, already updated to ContentBox 3. Francesco has been working on a widget manager, which has a lot of fancy stuff. Okay, allows you to basically do drag and drop, much like WordPress, for widgets in the side of a layout. So it actually allows you to compose layouts visually through drag and drop. So very, very nice module there. We also have the Code Editor Manager, which allows you to basically choose between the ACE and a separate code mirror instance instead of the traditional CK editor or the Markdown that we provide. So it's more editor managers. The one that I showed you, the CK Code Mirror, we have a Socialite module, which allows you to do social integrations with ContentBox. We have a Form Builder, which is, I would say, the most complex one. Now, this is not ready for ContentBox 3 just yet, but it will be. We're basically ramping up on all our modules that we have here in order before we ship. And the Form Builder is the most extensive one, as it includes ORM entities, it includes its own CRUDs, views, UIs, etc. We also have a Kismet integration, Slatwall integration to allow you to connect to e-commerce via Slatwall Commerce, and Pastebin, which allows you to use the Pastebin services to present posting code. So these are our collection of ContentBox modules that we're working on. That I'm pretty sure can give you a very good start, and they're all open source. Which one would you suggest as the simplest, best one to look at to learn as an example emulator? Well, the simplest would be the Hello World, the Hello ContentBox that I just showed. That it is shipped with every ContentBox installation, so that's the simplest. The best one, I'm not sure, because obviously there are many ways to do things. So I would encourage you to take a look at some of these that we have in our repository for you to get, basically started. And obviously, ask for any help that you might need. So I think I don't have time to actually show you themes, so I will just stop and ask for any questions and answer them. I really wanted to show more code than anything. There's a lot more slides obviously available, but I'll post those slides as well. Maybe this session should have been a two-parter one. So any other questions? Things that you would like to see before we end? We have about 2 minutes.